This is Gordon Dalgleish again, and today I have Liam McDevitt with me. Liam recently acquired Narin and Portnoo Golf Club in the northwest of Ireland, and we're going to be chatting about that. So, Liam, very welcome. Delighted to have you with us and finding some time to chat with us this morning.
Gordon, thanks for having us. We appreciate the opportunity and are always looking for something to do during this downtime.
Well, I had the very good fortune of meeting Liam for the first time back in January at the PGA show in Orlando, and I must say that seems about five years ago at this point. But Liam's background is that he grew up in the northwest of Ireland, playing golf at the golf course at Narin and Portnoo. So I've got a lot of affinity for him, having grown up playing golf in Scotland myself since age 7. And so you want to kind of just share quickly your kind of background in golf in Ireland and how you ended up here, and just kind of part of the narrative?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember not playing golf. As I said, so that must go back to when I was 3 or 4 years of age. Grew up playing with all my dad's friends who were a lot older than me and were great characters. And I was a designated driver at the age of 11 for most of them. And I always none of my friends played golf. I was the only junior member at the club at the time, and at another club called Bundoran. And I used to spend all my summers down in Portnoo and Easters. So my mum would pack the car up the day we finished school. We'd all drive down to Portnoo, which is only 50 minutes away, and we would spend. We wouldn't come back to our house in Ballyshannon until the day before school started, and it's just a wonderful place. And I have some unbelievable memories from growing up around there. And I would play golf from morning till night. And then I played a lot of amateur golf around Ireland. I played in all the championships, but I used to hitchhike everywhere. So I used to go from Donegal down to Ballyliffin, which is, probably a 6-hour drive. And it would take me sometimes I'd start off early in the morning and I wouldn't get there till the late hours of the night, But great fun. I used to hitchhike everywhere. Hitchhiked from college back home, all over the country. And as I said, when I played amateur golf, I hitchhiked with my golf clubs. Great way to grow up.
Now, did you have any siblings that you played with?
Not really. My brother, he's in and out of golf, but he had other interests. And but I used to caddy a lot, and I used to love playing with older people because the crack and the stories that these guys would tell was just unbelievable.
Yeah, you meet some terrific characters playing golf. And one thing that I always, reflect back on, having grown up in Scotland, is that just kind of the character of golf clubs are so different in the British Isles. They're much more of a melting pot of society than I think they are in the United States, where it's more based on kind of relative affluence. But the golf club that I grew up at, playing golf since I was 7, you had the doctors and lawyers and train drivers and butchers and bakers, and everybody was a member. And as a result, I think that the conversation was more fluid. And I'm sure that was probably the same, your experience, just in all the characters that you met. Is there any one or two characters that particularly come to mind that were just, for the ages?
Well, I grew up playing with this guy called Jimmy Murray, and he was an unbelievable amateur. Never had any interest in turning professional. And he was a member of Bundoran, where Chris O'Connor was also started off his career. It was an old it was an old course that dates back to, I think it's 125, 130 years old at this stage. And it's a Hardy Varden design, and there was a hotel on it. And then the Great Northern Railway would travel from from Dublin down to Bundoran and stop at the hotel. But Jimmy was a great player, and I was fortunate that he he's an eternal bachelor, never got married, and I was his designated driver. And I learned a lot from him playing golf, and he would just get up, tee the ball up, whip it, and just hit it. No practice swing, no nothing. And I remember him pulled me aside one day. He says, Sonny, you're playing that golf course 3 or 4 times more than me. And I'm like, I couldn't understand. I said, well, what do you mean, Jimmy? And he says, well, you take 2 or 3 practice swings on every tee. I just get up and I hit it. And ever since that day, I don't take a practice swing on the golf course. And, just other stories. I remember going to the plane in Ross's Point. We used to go up there once a month in the Northwest Alliance. And even during the winter, and I remember him getting up. He won a prize, and it was a bottle of gin or a bottle of vodka. And I probably was 13 or 14 at the time. And he comes back down to the table, and the bar is full. Back in those days, the bars were always full at the clubhouses, because the drink was cheaper, and people would come in and they would play golf, and then they would drink for the rest of the day. But he came back down to the table, put the bottle of gin or vodka on the table, opened it up, and he said, Sonny, you better call your mother because you're not going to be home for dinner. But, and then one more story I have of him, which is priceless. We're playing at a Pro-Am down in Portnoo, and they used to have a phenomenal Pro-Am every year that we would get David Fairhurley down there, Christy O'Connor Sr., Jr., Eamon Darcy, John O'Leary. All the greats would come down and play there. And he's on the first tee, and he's had a few the night before, and he can't get the tee. He can't get his ball on the tee. And he keeps on struggling away, and there's a gallery around the first tee, and keeps on struggling. He leans over to me and he says, Sonny, can you tee that ball up for me, please? I mean, I could tell stories all day, but sure. To play golf with, but those are just a few memories of Jimmy Murray, who was a great player, and had a lot of course records all over the country.
That's terrific. It sounds to me as though his idea of warming up was taking his head covers off. So anyway, the opportunity comes along to purchase Narin and Portnoo. How did that occur? Was that just from kind of your visits back that you heard that they were having some challenges and you thought it was an opportunity to give something back?
Yeah, so I've always been a member there, and my partner and I, we've been looking to do something in Ireland. He loves Ireland more than me. His name is Larry Foley, and he's got 5 kids, and they all play golf, and he loves Ireland, as I said, as much as I do. And we're frequent travelers to Ireland. I travel there 6 times a year, but since we started the golf course, I've been there a lot more. And so we tried to make several offers as the club was declining. All those offers were kind of rebuffed. And then the opportunity arose to purchase the debt, and we seized on that opportunity. And Larry, to his credit, and who has been a huge supporter of doing this, and without him, I wouldn't have done it. He said, yes, I want to get involved, sight unseen. So, I went and presented the whole thing to him in 5 minutes. He said, yeah, I'm in. What's the next step? So we purchased the debt, and then it took us a year. We purchased the debt almost 3 years ago. And then it took us a full year to get control, and we took control at the end of February 2018, and we had it open for Easter 2018. And then we did phased the renovations. We started October 2018. We finished February 2019. And we started up the second final phase October 2019, and we are 2 weeks from being completed. I mean, everything is completed and ready for golf, but the courses are closed over there because of the pandemic.
Yep.
And we just have about 2 weeks worth of work just to clean up some hollerage, but all the greens and tees and everything is completed and will be open once we get the green light from the government.
So you kind of overlooked one of the most interesting aspects, or one of many of interesting aspects, is you hired probably the most impressive or most in-demand golf course architect just now, Gil Hans, to do your work. How did that come about?
Well, that as I say to everybody, and Laurie says the same thing. You know, we hit the lotto when we convinced Hans Design to take us on board as a project. And Laurie is a member of Wing Foot, and I'm a member of a place called Rockaway Hunt Club, and both of those places have gone through transformations orchestrated by Hans Design, and they just have done phenomenal work there. So I was chatting to Greens convener at Rockaway one day. He's a good friend, Andy Ryan, and he says, "Well," I said, "Do you think Hans would be interested in doing something like this?" And he says, "Well, why don't we set up a golf game with Jim Wagner, who's Gil's partner, and who's also a member of Rockaway, and see if we can make something happen." So I played around the golf with Jim, and we went to dinner that evening ourselves, just the two of us. I had my laptop with me, I had some drone footage, and I said, "You know, is this something that would interest you?" And, you know, once he saw the footage, he said, "We would be very interested in doing something like this." So he said, "Let me try and coordinate a trip with myself and Gil," which is very hard to do because those guys, you know, even though they're partners, they fly all over the world. I think Jim told me one day he flew 27 hours just to make a 1-hour meeting and was back in the States. You know, that's the kind of, you know, they're on the road full time. So make a long story short, I picked them up in November 2017 in a horrendous day at 5:30 in the morning. They flew in, and I was really nervous of them being put off by the weather, but got them down to Donegal and walked them around. I said, "Right, I'll walk you around the golf course and share some of my memories with you." And, you know, the course had been, when I was growing up, it was par 69, and they changed it to a par 73. And they took all the character out of it, you know. So I said, our goal was to restore the old character of the golf course and maximize it to its potential. So spent a few hours walking around the golf course with Jim and Gil, gave them some of my thoughts, and said, "Look," and then took them back in and said, "Look, we're not married to anything. Myself and Laurie, our goal is to maximize the potential of the property." So then I left them, and they spent the next 3 or 4 hours out in the golf course on their own, and fell in love with the place instantly. And I dropped them back at the airport the next day. I think they were on a 4:00 flight out to New York. So within 36 hours, they agreed to take us on, and then they agreed to come back and do a master plan for us in Easter of 2018.
And is it entirely their vision, or other than what you described to them of taking it back kind of to what it used to be? How much work was done on the golf course to kind of dust off the old lady, if I can say that?
Well, we built. We currently have 22 greens, and we will keep 22 greens. We just keep some of them for nursery, and also we can take 1 or 2 holes out of play, and we can, you know, still have 18 holes of golf. And you know, with the Irish Sea and the sand blow, it gives us a little bit of flexibility to have that many greens and many options to reroute the golf course. But they have totally transformed the place way beyond my expectations and anything I think anyone could even have envisaged for down there, because what they've done is incredible, and they've they've worked within the confines of the dunes, and have done an incredible job. And as I said, anyone that walks it, who's played it for as long as I have, just can't believe the transformation.
Now, how much time did you spend kind of working with Gil on it, or was he looking for input, or was it just, did you just kind of, was it like one of these HGTV shows where you come back at the end of the project and, oh, wasn't this terrific? Were you kind of walking with them?
Yeah, look, I mean, we hire, you don't hire a company like Hans Design and then micromanage them. So,
Yep.
you know, you have to let creative people be creative. And so we give them all the tools to do the best job they could. And we didn't restrict them in any way. We didn't tell them, no, you can't do that or you can't do this. We just let them go and do their thing. Now, in terms of what I did was I traveled with them all the time. I would travel maybe a few days beforehand. They would get in, and then I would pick them up from the airport, and then I would stay with them while they were on the ground, because, you know, we wanted to make sure that when they were on the ground, they were working efficiently, and they do not like to work inefficiently. So we made sure that everyone danced to their tune. So, because they would literally fly in for, you know, 24 hours, 48 hours at a time, and then fly back out. So, and you know, we would have, for, you know, for redundancy purposes, we would have 2 bulldozers on site for Gil, just in case one of them broke down, because, you know, we are in rural Ireland. Yep. And it's not easy to call somebody up and say, listen, I need a D5 or a D6. And, you know, so that's what we did. And I was, you know, I was more managing the construction aspect of it while they were in full control of all the shaping. We managed all the construction ourselves and worked with the local contractors. And we were fortunate to hire, you know, we hired Saul Golf, who's a very big, probably one of the biggest in Europe. And then we on the second phase, we hired Atlantic Golf, who just recently completed the Adare Manor. So, you know, we were fortunate to have 2 seasoned players involved in the whole process. And, you know, the workmanship that they've completed has been outstanding, you know.
Well, I look forward to seeing it myself, hopefully sooner rather than later. Now, you obviously got an extremely strong connection to it. Any favorite holes that come to mind now that Gil has finished with it?
So we have we're back to a par 70, and we have 5 par 3s, all under 150 yards, and then we have 3 par 5s. The last par 5 is from the championship tee is like 650 yards, and they've created from scratch 3 phenomenal par 3s. And they're just, I mean, the par 3s are just wonderful. So the ninth hole is probably 35 yards. And I've hit anywhere from 4 iron to pitch and wedge into it. Wow. So I don't really have any favorites. I love the whole place. I think that the way they've tied everything together, and I mean, I'm sure I will get to the favorites. I mean, the outer loop from when you get past the 4th hole, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, it's just phenomenal. I mean, it's as good as anywhere in the world. The views, the vistas, and we probably have 12 holes on the golf course where you're playing alongside the water, you're playing into the water, or the water is behind you and in front of you. You know, because we're on a bit of a peninsula. So you clearly have an absolute passion for the place and a desire to share your deep love of the area with visitors. Is there anything that you've put in place or you're putting in place beyond just an exceptional golf course to enhance the visitor experience? I remember chatting with you about, I think you've got a very good chef there, for example. I mean, that's all part and parcel of the full package. Yeah, so we have managed to get two young guys, 2 chefs, Michael and Angelo, and they call the restaurant Michelangelo, and they're both passionate about food. Great chefs. I mean, the food in it is exceptional and as good as anywhere you'll get in the world. Everything is farm to table. Everything is natural. They're food snobs to the point where they even want to make their own ketchup, you know. So, I mean, if you go in and you ask for a bowl of soup, they make the soup from scratch. And we've been very fortunate with them. And, you know, our goal is to pull the golf business apart and put it back together again, since we haven't been involved in this business. We want to turn over all the stones and see what's underneath them. And we want, from the minute you drive in through the gates of the golf club to the minute you leave, we want everyone to have a phenomenal experience, from the meet and greet with the staff to the golf course to the caddies. We've got some locals who are down there caddying, and you know, they're phenomenal characters. And then from the food, before you leave, and I think we've a good recipe going. Yep. Hopefully we can maintain it and tweak it here and there. And, you know, my partner keeps on saying to me, I'm like an Italian chef, and I'm never happy with the sauce. So, you know, we keep on tweaking, and you know, Larry's been there with his family and he loves it, and all his kids love it. And we're just itching at the bit here to get back to the playing golf down there or over there.
That's terrific. Now, Liam, you've been very generous with your time. And in closing, any insider tips from your many trips over there that people should ensure that they add to their experience in Northwest Ireland, that you think that region is particularly good at or memorable with?
Well, the golf is phenomenal in the northwest of Ireland. Donegal itself has like 16 links golf courses, and there's like, you know, there's so many that stand out. Like Critch is a little 9-hole golf course, and we're fortunate. It's only 40 minutes from Portnoo. And the golf course is phenomenal. 9 holes. You have places like Rosapenna, Ballyliffin, Morva, and Portsalon. I mean, it's just so many wonderful places. And if you know, you can locate yourself in a town, and within an hour every day, you can play a different golf course. And you can even, if you were to locate yourself in Letterkenny or Derry, you know, you can capture Portrush and Portstewart and Castle Rock, and it's just a phenomenal location, rich with golf and rich with history. I mean, Portnoo, Donegal has been inhabited dates back to 8,000 BC. They maintain, and Portnoo itself that has a lot of historic monuments that date back to 5,000 BC. And our main logo, which is this necklace here, was found in Narin, dates back to 2000 BC, and it is in the National History Museum in Ireland. So, you know, it's rich in history, and it's a mystical area as far as I'm concerned. You know.
Well, it's you know, so many parts of Ireland have enjoyed a boom with golf over the last 20, 30 years. And it's only a matter of time before the Northwest really enjoys a similar boom. I know it's been kind of moving along, but when you bring in the likes of a Gil Hans, it adds even more credibility to a great region to visit. So my congratulations to you. I'm sure it's particularly rewarding for you, having grown up in a region of Ireland and then be able to return and do so much for it, that albeit you're opening at challenging times, but I'm sure in 10 years you'll look back and this will be just yet another story in a long life full of stories. So Liam, thanks so much for your time today. Best of luck with the golf course and the opening, and we look forward to supporting you and the region in the years ahead.
All right, Gordon, thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.